how could it be, you as a student of journalism and government and politics, how could it be that this story, vast sums, even as the president pointed out today, we know what the sort of floor probably is. How could this have happened in America?
Oh, it happens here all the time where I live in Miami-Dade County. Miami-Dade County leads the nation in Medicare fraud, and it's largely Cuban immigrants, Cuban migrants. I mean, this happens everywhere. So for me, except for when Walz became the VP, and that does, or the VP nominee, mystify me as to why this wasn't covered. I have one answer, which is the Trump campaign didn't push this as opposition research, aka Oppo, and therefore the press didn't pick it up.
Right.
But I would assume Scott and company were probably raising the alarms about this. I didn't see this pop on social media either. So it mystifies me as to why it wasn't covered then, because then it became a national issue. Yeah. But otherwise, it is very much a local issue. I can understand why the national press didn't cover it.
Scott, raise that point. From the day Kamala Harris selected him through Election Day, how much were you writing about the fraud story as opposed to all the other things I'm sure people in conservative press in Minnesota were saying?
Well, a week before Harris selected Walz, my daughter asked me to write 1,000 words about Walz for the Washington Free Beacon, of which she's the editor. And I did that in a column called Take My Governor, Please, which was a variation on the old Henny Youngman joke. Yeah. And that column made me, the only smart thing I've ever said, Mark. This was a week before she selected Walz. It was kind of a facetious explanation of why she wouldn't select Walz. So I went into what I think is a really horrible record that he has compiled as governor. But one of the last things I said in that column was that he would never live down the frauds that have occurred, the agencies under his jurisdiction. And then I think because I had written that column, I was asked to write the column introducing Walz to the readers of the Wall Street Journal that ran the day after he was selected. So I wrote it I was asked to write it the morning he was selected. And it was a big, like half a page column. Minnesotan looks at Tim Walz. And in that column, I made a thing about the frauds and Walz Joe Isuzu type deflection of the blame. And this has been his standard line for the past 4 years, is that he has nothing to do with it and he's taken care of it. But he blamed a local state court judge for ordering him to continue payments. And the judge, and something I've never seen done before, issued a formal public statement when the first wave of 47 indictments were handed up by a grand jury in September 2022. Ramsey County District Court Judge John Guthman had a public statement posted calling out Walz essentially as a liar. And I quoted that in the Wall Street Journal column.
Yeah. Scott, what if you don't assume facts not in evidence, but just based on what we know, how culpable is he in this, in the fraud scandal? Is it something he possibly knew about? Is it something that he turned a blind eye to? Where is his culpability based on what we now know, at least potentially?
Well, I would say he turned a blind eye at best. But the Somali community in the Twin Cities is a core Democratic constituency, and the Democrats pile up their majorities statewide with the huge majority that they pile up in Hennepin County, where Minneapolis is based and where most of the Somali community lives. I don't have a good answer about what he knew and when, but Mark, you're an observer of the media, and it astounds me that he has never sat for. During the second Feeding Our Future trial, I emailed him a set of questions. I asked for an interview about what he knew when, and of course they ignore me. I've had an adversarial relationship with the Walz administration, but I mean the serious media people here, the local media like the Star Tribune and the Telegraph, a daily local audience beyond Powerline, and they haven't. He's never sat for an interview about what he knew when, and his stories do not add up.
Yeah.
So
Apropos of that, let's look at the governor today. Again, said he was having a press conference announcing, as it turned out, his decision not to seek reelection. Here's the last few minutes of that public statement, which, as you'll see, includes no questions, and you'll see how the reporters reacted. Number 9, please.
I'm proud of the way we treat our neighbors. I'm proud of the way that we welcome people to this state. I'm proud of the way that we innovate, and I'm proud of the way that we are optimists for the future. No one's taking this away from us. Not the fraudsters, certainly not this president, not on my watch. Tomorrow, I'll be back with you. I'll give you an update on America's best paid family medical leave program that is now a week into it, and at that time, I'll take all your questions. Thank you all.
Thank you, Press. I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks, Walz. I'll more tomorrow. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Wow. All right. Thank you, Press.
You said you were going to take questions. Why didn't you?
Thank you all. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see. We'll see if he takes questions tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see if he takes questions tomorrow. Talk now that Senator Klobuchar would run for governor. Not clear if that happens. If she does run for governor, whether she'd step down, and if she stepped down, what would happen to her Senate seat? So a lot of ambiguity there. It's Mark, if Amy Klobuchar runs for governor, your sense she clears the field and wins easily?
I mean, I would defer to Scott on that sort of thing. I mean, I am no expert in Minnesota politics. I mean, my understanding of her is that she's certainly popular enough to be elected and reelected a number of times. So I would think she'd be clearly the front runner. But beyond that, I don't want to step too far outside of my lane.
Okay. Scott, my sense was that from talking to folks who've worked with Governor Walz in the past, not on this current campaign, but who know him pretty well, was that there was a fair amount of apprehension that he'd lose a reelect, not just because of the scandal, but running unprecedented third time. And there's some strongish Republican candidates.
Exactly.
So if it is Klobuchar, though, would she potentially be weighed down by the baggage of the scandal, even though there's no indication she was involved in it in any way?
Well, I think there's a kind of cloud around Democrats in the state right now, but she's the most popular Democrat in the state. She's probably the most popular politician in the state. So I think she would carry folks whose baggage would otherwise cripple them, like Keith Ellison. There's a guy who really had an opportunity to stop the fraud.
Oh,
yeah.
With a lawsuit with this Feeding Our Future and so on. He's another guy who's just dodged the bullet. He put out a video that looked like an SNL job, a Saturday Night Live job, bragging about how fraudsters are afraid to come to Minnesota and take advantage of Minnesotans with the small ball stuff that he's got some tried to make headlines with in Minnesota. But this guy, it's unbelievable that he's never sat for an interview about what he knew when, and the representation of his office that resulted in a settlement that resumed the payments to another $100 million that went out the door to Feeding Our Future. After the case, he represented the Minnesota Department of Education and was resolved.
Very glad to say that Cozy Earth is back as a sponsor. I wore my Cozy Earth pants all vacation. I wore them to the beach, and then I wore them. I'll mention the brand. I wore them to brunch at the Four Seasons, and no one said, Mark, why are you wearing your Cozy Earth pants here at the fancy Four Seasons? You just wore them on the beach. No one was the wiser. Cozy Earth products available, 20% off now, including the pants. CozyEarth.com, promo code 2WMM. That extends to the sheets, the bamboo sheets, the bubble cuddle blanket, all of the different pants that I love so much. Give the gift of luxury this year. Buy some for yourself. Make every moment comfortable. Head to CozyEarth.com. Use my code 2WMM for 20% off everything on the site. Be sure to mention you heard about Cozy Earth here. Some of you mentioned to me that you got Cozy Earth products over the holidays for your loved ones or got them as a gift, and everybody was very pleased. So right now, CozyEarth.com, promo code 2WMM for 20% off everything on the site.
They say that something that's easy is like a walk in the park. Well, easier than a walk in the park, hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss an episode, be part of our conversations. Thank you for your service to America.
And don't forget, you can now listen to the morning meeting and Two-Way Tonight on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.